Okay, let's continue reading the next chapter. Chapter 15. Into the tunnels. Dina was shaking as she and her mother walked into the BRC. Mrs. Hunter explained who they were and sat down opposite the reception desk, twisting her hands in her lap. "You will cooperate, won't you?" she whispered, "and tell them anything that might be helpful?" "Of course I will," Dina said. Inside her head she was shrieking, "What about me? Maybe I'm in worse danger than Lloyd." But she wouldn't let it shriek out loud. She made herself look quiet and obedient. A woman in a white coat came walking down the corridor. "Dina Hunter," she said, "to the director." "That's right." Mrs. Hunter stood up. "There's no need for you to come." The woman's voice was brisk and mechanical. "You will stay here." She raised her hand, signalling to the receptionist, and a cup of coffee appeared, as if from nowhere. Mrs. Hunter took it, looking confused. It's very nice of you, but I think I ought to—" "You will stay here," the woman in the white coat said again. Dina tried not to look nervous as nervous as she felt. "Don't worry, Mum. I'll be fine." Mrs. Hunter sat down, and the woman whisked Dina away down a long, bare corridor, not making any attempt to talk or smile. When they reached the director's office, she knocked on the door. "Dina Hunter, to see the director," she said into the intercom, but there was no answer. The door was simply open. "You may enter," the woman said, stepping back. Dina stepped over the threshold, and the door shut behind her. For a second she was alone in the orderly grey office. Then another door opened in the opposite wall. "Good afternoon," said a precise, expressionless voice. Even though she had guessed who it was, she was still in shock. The director, the demon headmaster, stood in the doorway. "What do you want?" Dina said. He raised an eyebrow. "I was under the impression, but it was you that wanted something. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps you do not care to talk about Lloyd Hunter." "Of course I care about him," Dina said. "But I don't believe all that stuff about trauma serum. It's a load of nonsense." The director looked oddly pleased. "Your brain is still working well. Excellent. You will need all your mental powers for the challenge I have in mind." Dina looked warily at him. What challenge? A smile flitted across his face. "I'm going to give you a chance to save Lloyd Hunter by identifying the thing that caused his coma." Everything in Dina's head went very still. "What have I got to do?" "That is for you to discover. I am merely giving you an opportunity." "What do you mean?" "I think you know what kind of creature attacked your brother, but who will believe you?" "No one will take any notice." Dina took a long, shaky breath. "DNA," she whispered. "Precisely. Do what I tell you, and you will be able to obtain a sample of the creature's DNA." Dina's heart gave one great joyful leap, then her brain began to work. "But why? You don't care about Lloyd." The smile vanished. "You do not need to know why. All you need to do is decide whether you will accept my challenge." It was like being blindfolded. She was being challenged, but she hadn't been given any information. She looked around. She could see only an empty desk and a blank computer. How could she decide? And yet, how could she refuse? She took a deep breath. "If there's anything I can do to help Lloyd, of course I'll do it." The director nodded. "That is not a rational decision, but it is one I expected. Come into the laboratory and I'll explain what you have to do." He opened the door behind him. Feeling cold and afraid, she walked across the office and took a step into the room, then stopped dead. On one side of the lab was a group of technicians in white coats, and right next to them was Simon. He was strapped to a chair and gagged. Simon was even more horrified when he saw Dina walk in. He'd never felt more helpless in his life. He couldn't speak a word. Dina also looked horrified. "Why is Simon tied up like that? Let him go." What I do with intruders is none of your business, the director said. He is fortunate I have been so lenient. He marched across the laboratory and flung open the door on the other side. This is what I brought you to see. It was the door where Simon had been captured, coming along the corridor from the secret entrance. But the director wasn't pointing to the corridor. He was pointing to the steps that went down into the tunnels leading to the underground and the darkness. Somewhere in those tunnels, he said, is what you are looking for. The creature that escaped and so, unfortunately, attacked your brother. The monster, Dina said. She was pale, but she didn't sound frightened. If it hadn't been for his gag, Simon would have cheered. The director looked scornful. Monster is a stupid word. The creature down there is a scientific experiment, one stage in my plan to take charge of nature. The answer to Lloyd's problem lies down there. All you have to do is find it, and come safely out of the tunnels again. He held out the torch. Dina took a step backwards. Is that all you're going to tell me? That is all. If you want to know anything else, you must discover for yourself. Of course, said Dina. I just want to get everything straight. Do you promise to let me go when I come out with this DNA sample? The director gave a small nod. That is one of the conditions of the experiment. What about Simon? You've got to let him go too. Simon, the director said. Simon is irrelevant. He's not irrelevant to me. He's my friend. Dina stood stubbornly in the doorway, refusing to take the torch. Unexpectedly, the director wavered, and Simon saw him glance down at his watch. He frowned, as if he were worried about the time. Dina stood her ground, and after another moment he nodded. Very well, that can be part of the bargain. He held out the torch, and this time Dina took it and switched it on. It gave a dull, red light. She hesitated and looked at Simon. He knew what she was thinking. You have no choice, the director murmured. Without a torch, you'll be in complete darkness. Dina swallowed and gave Simon a small, nervous smile. She walked through the door. He heard the sound of her feet padding down the broken brick steps, but he didn't hear them for long. The director shut the door behind her and turned to the technicians. Fetch Eve. When Eve walked into the laboratory, the director didn't waste time in greeting her. He simply pointed to the steps. Down there is a maze of tunnels. There is an intruder I want you to follow and make sure that no intruder gets out. Is that clear? No one is to get out of those tunnels. That is clear, Eve said. How do you wish me to prevent the intruder from leaving? Her flat and expressionless voice was the most frightening thing that Simon had ever heard. You must discover that for yourself, the director said. You may use any weapon you can find. He didn't look surprised or worried. Eve didn't look surprised or worried. Her face didn't change at all. She simply stepped forward and went to the top of the steps. The director took a second torch and handed it to her. She switched it on, and Simon saw that it was red, like Dina's, and for one eerie moment it felt as if he'd jumped back in time. A few minutes before, it had been Dina standing at the top of the steps. Now it was Eve. Her scaly hand was hidden, and the scaly side of her face was turned away, and standing there with a red torch, she looked exactly like Dina. The director closed the door behind her and turned to the computer and said, "Activate surveillance system." Simon found himself staring at a picture, and the screen showed a round brick tunnel lit by a red light. At the far end of the tunnel was a crouching figure, examining something on the ground. For a second, Simon wasn't sure who it was. The figure straightened, facing almost directly into the camera, and he saw that it was Dina. She began to walk away from the tunnel, leaving behind whatever it was that she'd been looking at. With a sinking heart, Simon saw the director smile. Mistake number 1, Miss Dina Hunter. At that very moment, Harvey and Ingrid were standing out in the lane with Rose, staring at a blank brick wall. Go on, said Harvey. Press the remote control. You're being ridiculous, Rose said. You believe any of the nonsense that precious Dina says. Of course there isn't a door here. Harvey did feel ridiculous, but Rose's voice made him more determined. He listened to that sneering, sneaky voice too much. He wasn't going to let her trick him again. Press the remote control. Ingrid glowered too. Immediately a section of the wall swung back, and the three of them were looking down the steps into a dark cellar. Harvey swallowed and pulled out the torch he'd snatched from Dina that morning. Come on, he said. We're going to see what's down there. Dina stepped back abruptly. No. Rose stepped back abruptly. No, she said. I'll go along the corridor. But I'm not going down. Yes, you are, said Ingrid. She grabbed Rose's arms. We're all going together. Turn the torch on, Harvey. Harvey pressed the switch. The torch gave only a dim red light, but that couldn't be helped. We'd have to make do with it. Harvey caught hold of Rose's other arm, and together he and Ingrid pulled her through the door and onto the steps. They were halfway down the steps when a flicker of red light ahead of them. They saw a figure in a dark tracksuit darting across the far end of the tunnel. Dina! Ingrid shouted. Harvey was just as startled. He ran down the steps. Stop! He didn't realise that Ingrid had let go as well. He was too busy yelling after the figure, and he didn't see Rose sneaking away up the steps, not until he heard her feet at the top. He and Ingrid spun round, but it was too late. Rose stood in the doorway. Then she disappeared, and the door swung shut in front of her, cutting off all the light except the red glow from the torch. They were trapped. Dina was much further ahead in the maze of tunnels. She was following the buzzing. She caught the sound of it very faintly, and it was crouching in the first tunnel, examining some of the little brown seed pods from the creeper. She was trying to work out what they were doing there on the earthy floor when she heard the noise. Buzz. The noise drove the seed pods out of her mind. The buzzing was the key to the whole problem. If she could prove what the buzzing was, she would know what it was that had given Lloyd that massive and dreadful shock. The director was smiling, and Simon shivered to see how pleased he looked as he stared at the screen. It was divided into two sections. On the left hand was Dina, slowly feeling her way along the damp bricks. On the other side was Eve, moving faster but creeping even more quietly. She was holding something in her hand, and from time to time she stopped, crouched down, and poked her fingers at the earth floor of the tunnel. At first Simon didn't realise what it was she was doing. Then on the third or fourth time he realised what it was she was holding. She had a handful of seed pods from the creeper, and every time she stopped, she was planting some of the seeds in the floor of the tunnel. Simon went cold. Red light and creeper seeds? In his mind he could see the long shoots of the creeper poking their tips through the earth, sensing the red light, slithering along the tunnels as they grew. He hadn't noticed the director turning to look at him. You see, Eve is even more rational than Dina. Her wits are sharper. She has guessed what the seeds were put there to do specially, to be used. Do you know what she's doing? Display tunnel diagram. The picture on the screen changed. Dina and Eve both disappeared, and Simon found himself looking at a map which showed a web of interlacing tunnels. They led towards a round space, the ice house. But the picture wasn't simply a map. It was moving and changing all the time. The director waved a hand, pointing at one of the tunnels. It was gradually turning green from one end to the other. My senses are picking up oxygen from the creeper. Look how fast it grows. Each generation is quicker than the last. His hand waved again and again, and Simon saw that the green was stealing up other tunnels as well. The creeper was growing almost as fast as Dina was walking. She will not escape, the director said. There is Dina's torch. She's almost trapped already. He pointed to another red dot. Eve's torch. Simon could tell that Eve wasn't following Dina. She was dancing around in the web of tunnels, planting seeds.